Proofread this. When Officer Sarah Martinez unclasped the faded collar, something fell into her palm. A brass plate. Engraved. She read it once. Twice. Her vision blurred. "Oh my God," she whispered. The shepherd lying broken in the shelter kennel wasn't just any dog. The numbers didn't lie. He'd served. He'd saved lives. And somehow, he'd ended up here. Forgotten. But let me take you back to where this all began. Chapter 1. The fluorescent lights hummed their usual Tuesday morning song at the Riverside County Animal Shelter. Sarah Martinez pushed through the double doors at 6:47 a.m. Coffee in one hand, resignation letter in the other. 17 years. 17 years of watching people dump their best friends because they moved, had a baby, got bored. The letter sat heavy in her jacket pocket, already signed. She just needed to find the right moment to give it to Director Chun. 2 more weeks. Then I'm done. Sarah. Thank God you're here. Jenny, the new intake coordinator, practically ran down the hallway. Her ponytail bounced. She was young, 23, maybe. Still believed she could save them all. Sarah remembered being 23. What's wrong? They brought in a shepherd last night. German shepherd, male, maybe 8 or 9 years old. Jenny's clipboard shook slightly. He's in bad shape. Won't eat. Won't move. Animal control found him wandering Route 42. Chip? No chip. No collar. Nothing. Jenny bit her lip. Sarah, I think someone dumped him. He's got scars, dental disease, hip dysplasia. The vet says euthanasia recommendation. Sarah finished the sentence. She'd heard it 1,000 times. Jenny nodded. Friday. Director Chun approved it. I'm sorry. 3 days. The dog had 3 days. Sarah should have walked away. Should have focused on the adoptable ones. The puppies with bright eyes and wagging tails that actually had a chance. That's what the smart officers did. That's what kept you sane in this job. She walked toward the back. Kennels anyway. The smell hit her first. That mixture of disinfectant. Wet concrete. And fear that no amount of cleaning could ever quite eliminate. 40 kennels lined both sides of the corridor. 37 were full. Dogs barked, whined, paced. The usual chaos. Except Kennel 23. Kennel 23 was silent. Sarah stopped in front of it. The German shepherd lay in the back corner, pressed against the cinder block wall like he was trying to disappear into it. His coat was dull, matted in places. Ribs showed through his sides. But it was his eyes that got her. Those eyes had seen things. Hey, buddy, she said softly, crouching down. Not too close to the bars. Never crowd the scared ones. The dog didn't move. Didn't even blink. Just stared at the wall like she wasn't there. Sarah noticed his front right paw then. 2 toes were missing. Clean scars, surgical. And his left ear had a chunk missing from the tip. But it was the pattern of scars on his muzzle that made her paws 3 parallel lines, silvery against his black fur. Precise, evenly spaced. What happened to you? She pulled her phone from her pocket and snapped a photo. Something about those scars nagged at her. She'd seen similar marks before, years ago, but couldn't place where. I'm gonna call you Rex, she said. You look like a Rex. The shepherd's ear twitched, barely, but something. Sarah stood, her knees cracking. 42 felt like 60-some mornings. She glanced at the kennel card. Male GSD, approx 8 to 9 years. No ID, severe neglect. Youth approved 11/17. Friday was November 17th. Why do you even care? The voice in her head sounded tired. You can't save them all. You're quitting anyway. Remember? She did remember. The letter felt like a brick in her pocket. Sarah? Jenny appeared at her elbow. You okay? Yeah, just... Sarah couldn't finish the sentence. She didn't know what she was. He won't even take treats. I tried hot dogs, peanut butter, everything. Jenny's voice cracked. It's like he's already given up. Sarah had seen it before. Dogs who just stopped, shut down completely. Especially the older ones who'd been through too much. The spark just went out, but there was something about Rex. Something in the way he held himself, even broken and defeated. A dignity. Like a soldier who'd lost his war but refused to surrender his bearing. Pull his intake photos for me? Sarah asked. Sure, but why? Just curious. 20 minutes later, Sarah sat in the cramped office she shared with 3 other officers, staring at her computer screen. The intake photos were standard front view, side view, teeth, paws. But she zoomed in on the scars, 3 parallel lines, evenly spaced. On the muzzle. She'd seen those before. But where? Her phone buzzed. Text from her ex-husband. Can you take Emma this weekend? Something came up. Sarah closed her eyes. Something always came up with Derek, their 14-year-old. Daughter had stopped expecting reliability from him years ago. At least Emma has you, she thought. Who does Rex have? She typed back. Sure. Friday night? The response came immediately. Perfect. You're the best. She wasn't the best. The best would have fought harder to keep her marriage together. The best would have noticed the distance growing before it became an ocean. The best would have stopped. That was 3 years ago. Ancient History. Sarah pulled up the database for found dogs and started scrolling. Long shot, but maybe someone was looking for him. An 8-year-old German Shepherd with distinctive scars should be memorable. Nothing in Riverside County. Nothing in adjacent counties. She expanded the search. Her desk phone rang. Director Chan. Martinez. Got a second? Sure. Sarah's hand instinctively went to the resignation letter. Not yet. That Shepherd from last night. I know Jenny got attached, but we can't keep a dog who won't eat. He's suffering. Friday's the humane choice. I understand. Good. Also, budget meeting this afternoon. We need to discuss next quarters. I'll be there. Sarah hung up and turned back to her computer. She didn't know what she was looking for. A miracle, maybe. Proof that someone out there cared about this dog. That he hadn't been discarded like trash. The search turned up. Nothing. She checked the time. 9:33 a.m. 2 hours until her patrol shift started. 2 hours to figure out why she couldn't let this go. Because you see yourself in him? The honest voice whispered. Broken. Used up. Ready to quit. Sarah grabbed her coffee and headed back to Kennel 23. Chapter 2. Rex hadn't moved. Same position. Same blank stare. Sarah dragged a metal folding chair from the supply closet and sat down 3 feet from the kennel. Close enough to talk. Far enough to not be threatening. So here's the thing, Rex, she said conversationally. I'm supposed to walk away. I'm supposed to focus on the ones who have a chance. That's the smart play. The Shepherd's breathing was shallow but steady. But I never was that smart. She sipped her coffee, now lukewarm. 17 years here. You know how many dogs I've watched die? How many perfect, healthy, beautiful dogs got put down because their owner moved to a no-pet apartment? Or because they barked too much? Or just because? Rex's tail moved. Millimeter. But she saw it. My daughter Emma, she's 14. She asked me once why I do this job if it makes me so sad. Sarah leaned back in the chair. It creaked. You know what I told her? I told her somebody has to care. Somebody has to be here for the ones nobody else wants. The Shepherd's eye rolled toward her. Just for a second. Progress. But lately I've been thinking, what if caring isn't enough? What if I'm just prolonging the inevitable? You ever feel like that, buddy? Like you're just going through the motions? Proofread this. Sarah didn't expect an answer. She just needed to talk. needed to fill the silence with something other than the sound of her own breaking heart. Her radio crackled. "Martinez, you copy?" She unclipped it from her belt. "Yeah, go ahead. Got a situation on the north side. Possible dog fighting operation. Need you to respond." Sarah's jaw tightened. "Dog fighting. The absolute worst of humanity. On my way." She stood, and Rex's head lifted slightly. Watching her. "I gotta go, buddy. But I'll be back." "That's a promise." She meant it. Even knowing Friday was coming. Even knowing promises to shelter dogs were the cruelest kind of lie. The north side call took 4 hours. 3 pit bulls, emaciated and covered in scars, cowering in a garage. 2 men in handcuffs, screaming about their rights. Sarah photographed injuries, collected evidence, coordinated with animal control. She'd done it hundreds of times. It never got easier, by the time she got back to the shelter. It was after 2 p.m. Her stomach growled. She'd forgotten lunch again, but she went straight to kennel. 23. Rex had moved. Not much. Maybe 6 inches from the wall. But he'd moved, and there was something in the corner of the kennel. Something small and dark. Sarah squinted. A piece of fabric? No, leather. She called for Jenny. "Did anyone put anything in this kennel?" "No. Why?" "There's something in the back corner." Jenny peered through the bars. That wasn't there this morning. Maybe it was stuck to him? Under his fur? Sarah grabbed the catch pole, not to catch Rex, but to reach into the kennel without opening the door. She extended it carefully, hooked the object, and pulled it toward the bars. A collar. Old, faded, cracked leather. So worn, it had practically disintegrated, but there was something attached to it. A brass plate, tarnished black with age. Sarah's hands trembled as she worked the plate free from the rotting leather. She wiped it on her pants. Engraved letters emerged from the grime. K9 Officer Rex Badge 437 Metro Police. Department 2014-2019. Sarah stopped breathing. A police dog. This was a police dog. "Oh my God," Jenny whispered, reading over her shoulder. "He's a K9? Sarah's mind raced. Metro Police Department that was 3 counties over. Badge 437. 5 years of service, ending in 2019. That was 6 years ago. What happened to him? Why was he here, abandoned and broken, instead of retired with honors? "We need to call Metro PD," Sarah said, already pulling out her phone. "Wait." Jenny grabbed her arm. "What if they don't want him? What if that's why he's here? Some departments just dispose of retired K9 South, especially if they have medical issues." Sarah's blood went cold. She'd heard the stories. Dogs who'd served faithfully for years, then dumped at shelters when they became inconvenient. Too expensive to treat. Too old to work. Easier to replace than repair. We're calling anyway. The Metro Police Department switchboard transferred her 3 times before she finally reached the K9 unit. K9 unit. Sergeant Morrison. "Hi, this is Officer Sarah Martinez, Riverside County Animal Services. I need to inquire about a retired K9 badge 437 named Rex. Do you have records?" Silence. Long enough that Sarah thought the connection had dropped. "Hello? Rex." Morrison's voice had changed. Softer. "You found Rex?" "Yes, sir. He was brought in as a stray last night. No collar, but we found. Is he alive?" The question hit Sarah like a fist. "Yes, he's in rough shape, but yes." She heard Morrison exhale. "Jesus, we've been looking for him for 2 years. Where are you exactly?" 2 years. Rex had been missing for 2 years. Sarah gave him the address, her mind spinning. What happened? Why was he? "I'll be there in an hour." Just don't do anything until I get there, please." The line went dead. Sarah and Jenny stared at each other. This just got complicated, Jenny said. Sarah looked at Rex. The shepherd had turned his head, watching her with those haunted eyes. For the first time, she saw something there besides emptiness. Fear. Chapter 3. Sergeant Tom Morrison arrived in 47 minutes. Sarah watched through the office window as he parked his Metro PD cruiser, sat for a moment with his head bowed, then got out. He was maybe 55, barrel-chested, with gray streaks in his dark hair. He moved like a man carrying weight that had nothing to do with his body. Sarah met him at the front desk. Officer Martinez. His handshake was firm, but his attention was already moving past her, scanning the building. Where is he? This way. They walked through the shelter in silence. Dogs barked and jumped at their kennel doors, but Morrison didn't seem to hear them. His jaw was set tight. When they reached Kennel 23, Morrison stopped. Rex was still lying in the corner. But when Morrison came into view, something happened. The shepherd's entire body went rigid, his ears pinned flat. A low, rumbling growl started deep in his chest. Morrison's face crumpled. Ah, Rex, what did they do to you, boy? He crouched down, and Rex's growl intensified. Warning. Stay back. Sarah had never seen a dog react to their former handler with fear. Maybe we should talk in my office, she suggested quietly. Morrison nodded, unable to take his eyes off Rex. Yeah, okay. In the cramped office, Morrison sat heavily in the visitor's chair. Sarah waited. Rex was my partner, he finally said. Best canine I ever worked with. We did narcotics detection, search and rescue, crowd control. He saved my life twice. Once when a suspect pulled a knife, once when he alerted to a gas leak in a building we were clearing. What happened in 2019? He got injured. Bad car accident during a pursuit. Hip damage, broken ribs, head trauma. The department retired him medically. Morrison's hands clenched. I was supposed to adopt him. We had the paperwork ready. But my ex-wife now, she put her foot down. Said we couldn't afford the medical bills, the surgeries, the ongoing care. Sarah felt something cold settle in her stomach. So I found him a home. Guy named Marcus Webb, former canine handler himself, retired from the force 5 years earlier. Seemed perfect. He had property, experience with working dogs, references. Morrison's voice cracked. I visited twice. Rex seemed okay, adjusting. Then Marcus stopped returning my calls. I drove out there about 6 months later, and the house was empty, foreclosed. Neighbors said Marcus left in the middle of the night. Owed money everywhere. And Rex? Gone. I filed missing animal reports, checked every shelter in a 100-mile radius, posted on every lost pet site. Nothing. He rubbed his face. I figured he was dead. That Marcus had dumped him somewhere, and God, I hoped it was quick. That he didn't suffer. Sarah pulled out her phone and showed him the intake photos. Morrison flinched at Rex's visible ribs, the dull coat, the emptiness in his eyes. How long has he been like this? We don't know. He was found yesterday on Route 42, about 30 miles from here. No idea where he's been for 2 years. Morrison stood abruptly and walked to the window. His shoulders shook. I should have fought harder, he said. Should have told my wife to go to hell. Should have taken him myself. Should have checked on him more often. He served with honor. He deserved better. You're here now, Sarah said. We can fix this, can we? Morrison turned, and his eyes were red. Did you see how he looked at me? He's terrified. Whatever happened to him these past 2 years, it broke him. And he associates me with abandonment, with being given away. Sarah didn't have an answer for that. There's something else, Morrison said. Those scars on his muzzle, the 3 parallel lines. You know what those are? No. Proofread this. Muzzle scars. From a wire muzzle, worn too tight for too long. Usually seen in dogs kept in fighting rings or puppy mills. Someone kept Rex confined. Probably caged 24/7. The cold in Sarah's stomach turned to ice. For 2 years? Maybe. Maybe less. Hard to say. Morrison's fists clenched. When I find Marcus Webb, we'll find him together. Sarah interrupted. And we'll make sure he faces charges. But right now, Rex needs us focused on him. Morrison looked at her for a long moment, then nodded. What's his status here? Sarah hesitated. The euthanasia order. Friday. She hadn't canceled it. He's approved for euthanasia, she said quietly. Friday. He won't eat, won't engage. By shelter standards, no. Morrison's voice was steel. Absolutely not. I'll adopt him right now. Today. Tom, can I call you Tom? It's not that simple. Look at him. He's shut down completely. Even if you take him, he needs extensive rehabilitation, medical care, behavioral work. That could take months. Years. And there's no guarantee. I don't care. He's my partner. I left him once. I'm not doing it again. Sarah wanted to believe him, but she'd heard promises before. Seen people take on broken dogs with the best intentions, only to return them weeks later when reality hit. Let me work with him first, she said. Give me 3 days. If I can get him to eat, to engage at all, then we'll talk about next steps. 3 days? That's all I'm asking for. 3 days to see if there's anything left to save. Sarah held his gaze. If there is, we do this right. Proper rehabilitation, behavioral assessment, medical treatment. I have contacts at a canine rescue organization. They specialize in retired police and military dogs. If anyone can help him, they can. Morrison looked torn. And if there's nothing left, then we make the humane choice. Together. The silence stretched. Finally, Morrison nodded. 3 days, but I'm coming back every day. I want to see him. That might not be a good idea. He's afraid of you. All the more reason. I need him to know I'm here, that I'm not abandoning him again. Sarah couldn't argue with that dot after Morrison left. She went back to Kennel 23. Rex had returned to his corner, pressed against the wall, but his eyes were open, alert. So, Sarah said, sitting in her folding chair. Turns out you're kind of a big deal, huh? Police dog. Badge and everything. Rex stared at the wall. Your old partner came by. Tom Morrison. He's been looking for you for 2 years. Seems like he really cares. Nothing. I know you're scared. I know you've been through hell. But I need you to trust me. Just a little bit. Just enough to eat something. To give me a sign that you want to fight. She opened a can of premium wet food, the expensive stuff they kept for special cases, and slid it through the kennel slot. The smell filled the corridor. Rich, meaty Rex didn't even look at it. Sarah stayed for 2 hours, talking, sitting in silence. Waiting. The food sat untouched. Chapter 4. Day 2. Wednesday morning. Sarah arrived at 5:30 a.m. with a McDonald's breakfast sandwich and a plan she wasn't sure would work. She'd been up most of the night researching. Retired K9S, trauma rehabilitation, resocialization techniques, everything she could find about reaching shutdown dogs. One article kept coming back to her, written by a former military dog handler. The key line: sometimes they don't need our words. They need our presence, our patience, our willingness to sit in the darkness with them until they remember what light looks like. Sarah grabbed her folding chair and settled in front of Kennel 23. Rex was in his usual spot. The food from yesterday was still there, untouched, now dried out. She didn't talk this time. Just sat, ate her sandwich slowly, sipped her coffee, existed in the same space as him. After an hour, she left for her morning duties. came back at lunch, sat for another hour in silence. Rex watched her. She felt his eyes tracking her movements, even when she looked away. Progress. Maybe, maybe not. That afternoon, Tom Morrison returned. Sarah intercepted him in the parking lot. "How is he?" Morrison asked. "The same. But I have an idea, and I need your help." She handed him a training vest. Metro PD logo on the back. "Put this on." Morrison frowned. "Why?" "Because Rex is seeing you in civilian clothes. You're a stranger. But in uniform, in the vest, maybe he'll remember who you really are, who you were together. That's a long shot." "Everything about this is a long shot." Morrison put on the vest. It was tight across his shoulders. He'd put on weight since his canine days, but it fit. They walked to Kennel 23 together. Sarah hung back as Morrison approached. Rex's reaction was immediate. His head lifted, ears forward, alert, not afraid, not growling, interested. "Hey, partner," Morrison said softly. He kept his voice steady, professional, the tone he'd used 1,000 times on patrol. "It's time to get to work, Rex. You copy?" Rex's tail moved. Just once, a single thump against the concrete. Morrison's breath caught. "Good boy. That's my good boy." He lowered himself to the ground, sitting cross-legged in front of the kennel. Not crowding, not demanding, just there. "I'm sorry I left you," Morrison said. "I'm sorry I didn't protect you. That's on me, partner. But I'm here now, and I'm not leaving. Not again." Sarah watched from 10 feet back, her throat tight. Rex stood. Slowly, shakily, he stood. Then he took one step forward, then another until he was standing at the kennel door, separated from Morrison by metal bars. Morrison lifted his hand, palm out. The old signal. "Wait." Rex sat. The movement was stiff, painful from his damaged hips. But he sat. Police dog training, muscle memory, buried under 2 years of hell, but still there. "Good boy," Morrison whispered. "Good boy, Rex." Sarah saw wetness on Morrison's cheeks. Saw Rex lean forward slightly, his nose almost touching Morrison's hand through the bars. Connection. The first real connection in God knows how long. "We need to move slowly," Sarah said quietly. "This is huge, but he's still fragile, still traumatized." Morrison nodded, not taking his eyes off Rex. "What do you need from me?" "Come back tomorrow. Same vest, same routine. We build trust in layers." "I'll be here." After Morrison left, Sarah tried the food again. Fresh can, chicken and rice. She set it in the kennel. This time, Rex looked at it. He didn't eat, but he looked. That evening, Sarah sat at her kitchen table with Emma, pretending to check homework while actually thinking about Rex. "Mom, you're doing it again," Emma said. "Doing what?" "That thing where you're here, but not here." Her daughter looked at her over the top of her algebra textbook. "What's wrong?" Sarah hesitated. Emma knew about her job, understood the hard parts. But sometimes Sarah tried to shield her anyway. "There's a dog at the shelter," she admitted. "An old police dog. He's been through something terrible, and I'm trying to help him, but I don't know if he can be saved," Emma finished. "Yeah." Emma closed her textbook. "You always tell me not to give up on the hard things. That the hard things are the ones worth fighting for." 14 years old and already wiser than Sarah sometimes felt. "When did you get so smart?" "Genetics, probably." Emma grinned, then turned serious. "Are you still thinking about quitting?" Sarah's hand went to her jacket, hanging on the back of the chair. The resignation letter was still in the pocket. "I don't know, baby. Some days I think I'm doing good. Other days I feel like I'm just drowning, watching the same sad stories on repeat. Proofread this. But if you quit, who helps the hard dogs? The ones nobody else wants?" Simple question. No easy answer. That night, Sarah pulled up the Riverside County budget reports. She'd sat through 100 of these meetings, listened to Director Chun explain why they couldn't afford more staff, better facilities, enhanced medical care. The shelter was always one emergency away from crisis. But buried in the financial notes, she found something interesting. A grant program. Federal funding for rehabilitation of retired service animals. Police dogs, military dogs, search and rescue. If Rex qualified, and he should. With his documented service record, the shelter could receive up to $15,000 for his care. Sarah grabbed her phone. Chapter 5. Thursday morning. Day 3. Sarah's last chance to prove Rex was worth saving. She arrived with Director Chung, Tom Morrison in his canine vest, and Dr. Patricia Kim from the Canine Rescue Foundation. Everything rode on the next few hours. "You understand he's been completely shut down?" Dr. Kim asked, reviewing the medical file. "No food, no water intake to speak of, severe muscle atrophy. Even if he starts eating today, he's looking at months of recovery." "I understand," Sarah said. "And you're requesting grant funding for his rehabilitation?" "Yes. He served 5 years with Metro PD. He qualifies." Dr. Kim nodded slowly. "Let me see him." They approached Kennel 23 as a group. Rex was standing. That was new, but his body language was tense. Too many strangers. "Everyone stay back except Tom," Sarah instructed. "Let's not overwhelm him." Morrison stepped forward. "Hey, partner. Got some people here who want to help. That okay with you?" Rex's tail twitched. Uncertain. Morrison pulled something from his pocket. A tennis ball, faded and worn. "Remember this? You loved this thing. Drove me crazy with it." He rolled the ball through the kennel bars. It bounced once, twice, then settled near Rex's feet. Rex looked down at it. Seconds passed. 10, 20, 30. Then Rex lowered his head and nudged the ball with his nose. Sarah heard Dr. Kim inhale sharply. "Push it back." "Partner," Morrison said. "Just like old times." Rex nudged the ball again. It rolled slowly toward the kennel door. Morrison laughed, a sound caught between joy and heartbreak. "Good boy. Good boy, Rex." "He's engaging," Dr. Kim murmured. "After 3 days of shutdown, he's engaging. That's remarkable." Director Chun was watching with his arms crossed. "Even if he starts eating, there's the medical costs. Hip surgery alone could run $8,000. Then behavioral work. Physical therapy. The grant covers up to $15,000, Sarah interrupted. And I'll personally oversee his rehabilitation. No extra staff hours needed. You're already working 50-hour weeks. Then I'll make it 60. Chun sighed. "Martinez, you can't save every dog. You know that. I'm not trying to save every dog. I'm trying to save this one." Morrison pulled a piece of hot dog from his pocket and tossed it through the bars. It landed near Rex's feet. Everyone held their breath. Rex sniffed it. Once, twice. Then he ate it. "Yes!" Morrison pumped his fist. "That's my boy." Dr. Kim smiled. "Mr. Morrison, do you have more of those hot dogs?" "Whole bag." "Good. Let's see how much you'll eat." Over the next 30 minutes, Rex ate 17 pieces of hot dog. Not fast, not eagerly, but deliberately. Choosing life over surrender. Sarah felt something loosen in her chest. Hope. Dangerous, foolish hope. "Okay," Dr. Kim said. "I'll approve him for the rehabilitation program. But I need commitment from everyone. Tom, are you prepared to be involved in his care long-term?" "Whatever it takes." "Director Chun, can you authorize the grant application?" Chun looked at Rex, then at Sarah. "The paperwork alone will be a nightmare." "I'll handle it," Sarah said. "And if he doesn't improve? If the trauma is too deep? Then we'll have given him every possible chance. That's more than he's gotten in 2 years." Chen pulled out his phone. I'll start the application today. But Martinez, he fixed her with a steady look. This comes out of your kennel space. Rex stays as long as he needs, but that means we might have to turn other dogs away. The weight of it hit her. Saving Rex might mean condemning another dog to a different shelter. A shelter with higher euthanasia rates, I understand. Do you? Because this is the choice you're making. This one dog over potentially dozens of others. Sarah looked at Rex, standing now, watching them with clearer eyes. Still broken. Still scared. But fighting. Some dogs represent more than themselves, she said quietly. Rex served his community. Saved lives. He deserves our loyalty in return. If we can't honor that commitment, what does that say about us? Chen was quiet for a long moment. You really believe that? I do. Then God help us both. He turned to Dr. Kim. What's the timeline? Medical evaluation today. Surgery within the week if his blood work is stable. Then 8 to 12 weeks of recovery and behavioral rehabilitation. Sarah did the math. 3 months, minimum. 3 months of Rex taking up kennel space, resources. Timed out 3 months of fighting for one broken dog. Let's do it, she said. But the universe, it seemed, had other plans. That afternoon, while Sarah was processing the grant paperwork, Jenny burst into the office. Sarah, code red. Rex is. She couldn't finish the sentence. Sarah ran. Kennel 23. Rex was on his side, convulsing. Foam at his mouth. His legs rigid, thrashing. Seizure. Call Dr. Kim. Now. Sarah grabbed her radio. I need the emergency kit to Kennel 23. Move. Jenny sprinted for the phone. Another officer appeared with the medical kit. Sarah's hand shook as she pulled out the emergency seizure medication, rectal diazepam. Not ideal, but fastest. I'm coming in, she said. Everyone back. She opened the kennel door. Rex's seizure was lessening but still active. She had maybe 10 seconds before he came out of it disoriented and potentially aggressive. Sarah administered the medication, then backed out quickly, locking the kennel. Come on, buddy, she whispered. Come on. The seizure stopped. Rex went limp, breathing hard. Dr. Kim arrived 12 minutes later. By then, Rex was conscious but groggy, confused. Neurological episode, Dr. Kim said, examining him through the bars. Could be from the head trauma in 2014. Could be from malnutrition. Could be a brain tumor. We won't know until we do imaging. Can he survive surgery with this condition? I don't know. We need blood work, x-rays, possibly an MRI. That's another $3,000 minimum, and it's not covered by the basic grant. Sarah felt the door closing. The universe saying, you tried, but some dogs are too broken. Tom Morrison appeared in the hallway, still in his canine vest. He must have come straight from work. What happened? Seizure, Sarah said. Could be neurological damage. We need extensive testing before we can even think about surgery. Morrison crouched in front of the kennel. Rex was watching him with hazy eyes. Whatever it costs, Morrison said. I'll pay for it. The testing, the surgery, all of it. Tom, that could be $15,000 or more. I don't care. He's my partner. Morrison's voice broke. I failed him once. I won't do it again. Dr. Kim looked between them. You understand there's no guarantee? Even with treatment, his prognosis is guarded at best? I understand. And you're prepared for the possibility that the most humane choice might still be euthanasia? Morrison's jaw worked. If that's what's best for Rex, then yes. But we try first. We try everything. Sarah pulled the resignation letter from her pocket. She'd been carrying it for 3 days, waiting for the right moment. She tore it in half. Okay, she said. We fight. All of us. Director Chun appeared in the hallway. Martinez, I just got off the phone with the grant committee. They're fast-tracking Rex's application, but they need a full medical assessment within 48 hours. Proofread this. We'll have it, Dr. Kim said. And they want proof of rehabilitation potential. A psychological evaluation showing he can return to some quality of life. How do we prove that? Morrison asked. Sarah looked at Rex. He'd managed to lift his head, was watching them with those ancient, weary eyes. We ask him, she said. Chapter 6, Friday morning. The day Rex was supposed to die. Instead. He was in the transport van heading to Metro Veterinary Hospital, Sarah driving. Morrison in the back with Rex secured in a cushioned crate. Talk to him, Sarah said. Keep him calm. Morrison's hand rested against the crate. Hey, partner. We're going to get you checked out. Find out what's going on in that head of yours. You've been through a lot, but we've got you now. We've got you. Rex's breathing was steady. Sedated, but conscious. The seizure medication had helped Dot at the hospital. A team was waiting. Dr. Lisa Chun, no relation to Director Chun, was a veterinary neurologist who specialized in working dogs. Sarah, she greeted. I've read his file. This is going to be extensive. How extensive? Full neurological workup. Blood panel, x-rays, MRI, possibly a spinal tap. We're looking at 6 to 8 hours minimum. Morrison blanched. That long? Head trauma from 6 years ago. Malnutrition, seizure disorder. We need the complete picture. Dr. Chun's expression softened. I know it's hard, but if we're going to help him, we need to know what we're dealing with. They watched as Rex was transferred to a gurney, still sedated. Still watching Morrison with those eyes that had seen too much. I'll call you the second we have results. Dr. Chun promised. Sarah and Morrison sat in the hospital waiting room, surrounded by worried pet owners and the antiseptic smell of medical-grade cleaner. Tell me about him, Sarah said. Before, what was he like? Morrison's face transformed. Fearless. Not aggressive, but confident. He knew his job and loved doing it. When we'd roll up to a scene, he'd get this energy, this focus. Like everything else fell away except the work. What was his favorite thing? Tennis balls. And patrol. He loved being in the car, watching the streets. I swear he knew every corner of our beat. Morrison smiled. And he had this thing where he'd lean against my leg when we were standing. Just lean. Like he was saying, I got your back. Sounds like a good partner. The best. Morrison's smile faded. That's why losing him, giving him up, it broke something in me. My marriage was already falling apart, but that was the final straw. I chose my wife over my partner, and I lost them both anyway. You couldn't have known. I should have tried harder. Should have found a way. He looked at Sarah. Why are you doing this? Really? You could have let Friday happen. Made it quick, painless. Why fight for a dog you just met? Sarah thought about Emma's question. About the resignation letter she'd torn up. About 17 years of watching the same sad stories play out. Because someone has to, she said. And because maybe I see myself in him. Used up, broken, ready to quit. Maybe saving him is how I save myself. Morrison nodded slowly. We're a mess, aren't we? Yep. Think we can do this? Really help him? I don't know. But we're going to try. The call came at 3:47 p.m. It's not a tumor, Dr. Chun said without preamble. The MRI is clear. No masses, no active bleeding, no structural abnormalities. Sarah's legs nearly gave out. Then what caused the seizure? Severe electrolyte imbalance from malnutrition. His potassium and sodium levels were critically low. We've started 4 fluids and supplements. The seizure was his body essentially short-circuiting from deprivation. Is he going to have more? Hard to say. We'll keep him on anti-seizure medication for now, monitor his response. But the good news is, this is treatable. With proper nutrition and medication, he should stabilize. What about his hips? The head trauma? The hip dysplasia is significant, but manageable. Surgery can help, though he'll never be pain-free. As for the head trauma from 2014, there's scar tissue, but nothing that should cause ongoing seizures. The main issue is malnutrition and whatever psychological trauma he endured these past 2 years. Sarah turned to Morrison. Did you hear that? He nodded, his face wet with tears. When can we see him? He's awake now. Come on back. Rex was in a recovery kennel, hooked up to an 4, but his eyes were clear, alert, more present than Sarah had ever seen him. When Morrison approached, Rex's tail moved. Not much, just a small wag. Hey, partner. Morrison's voice shook. You scared the hell out of me. Dr. Chun showed them the x-rays, the MRI images, explaining each finding. But Sarah couldn't focus. She was watching Rex watch Morrison. The fear was gone. Not all of a trauma that deep doesn't disappear overnight. But the wall had cracked. There's something else, Dr. Chun said. When we did the full-body x-rays, we found this. She pulled up an image. Rex's chest cavity. And there, near his heart, something small and metallic. What is that? Sarah asked. Microchip. Old style, from before universal scanners. That's why the shelter scanner didn't pick it up. Morrison stared. Can you read it? Already did. Dr. Chun pulled up the information. Registered to Marcus Webb. Address in Lakewood, dated 2019. But there's a note in the system. A flag added in 2023. She turned the screen so they could see. Flagged, suspected animal abuse. If found, contact immediately. Reward for information. The flag had been placed by Metro Police Department by Sergeant Tom Morrison. You've been looking for him, Sarah said quietly. For 2 years. Marcus Webb disappeared, but I knew something was wrong. I filed reports, flagged the chip, even hired a PI for a few months. Morrison's hands clenched. I was right. That bastard had Rex this whole time, doing God knows what to him. Well, now we have proof. Dr. Chun tapped the screen. This chip connects Rex directly to Webb, and the medical evidence, the muzzle scars, the malnutrition, the neglect, that's documentation of animal abuse. Can we use it to find him? Sarah asked. I'll call it into Metro PD tonight. We'll reopen the investigation. Morrison looked at Rex. I'm going to find him, partner. I'm going to make sure he pays for what he did to you. Rex's tail wagged again. Stronger this time, like he understood. Chapter 7. 1 week later. Sarah sat in interview room B at Metro Police Department, watching through one-way glass as Sergeant Morrison questioned Marcus Webb. They'd found him in Arizona, living under his brother's name. It took 4 days and a coordinated effort between 3 police departments, but they'd brought him in. Webb was 52, balding, wearing an orange jumpsuit. He looked ordinary, like someone's uncle. Like anyone you'd pass on the street. Evil doesn't always look like evil. Tell me about the dog, Morrison said. His voice was calm, professional, but Sarah saw his jaw clench. What dog? Webb's attorney, a public defender who looked tired of his client already, put a hand on his arm. Don't play games, Marcus. We have the microchip. We have the medical records. We have testimony from 3 neighbors who saw you with a German Shepherd matching Rex's description. Webb shifted. I don't know what you're talking about. Morrison slid a photo across the table. Rex from his intake at the shelter. Skeletal. Broken. This is what you did to him. Webb barely glanced at it. Dogs get old. They fall apart. That's life. Sarah's hands clenched. In the observation room, Director Chun put a hand on her shoulder. "Morrison's got this," Chun said quietly. On screen, Morrison pulled out another photo. Rex in 2019, healthy, strong, standing proudly next to Morrison in uniform. "Proofread this. This is what he looked like when I trusted you with him. When I believed you'd give him the retirement he earned." Morrison's voice stayed level, barely. "What happened, Marcus? Why'd you do it?" "I don't have to answer that." "You're right. You don't. Because we have enough evidence to charge you with animal cruelty, theft, interstate animal trafficking. That's 3 felonies." Morrison leaned forward. "But I'm curious. A dog who served with honor, who saved lives. Why?" Webb's face twisted. "You want to know why?" "Because I was broke. Because the house went into foreclosure and nobody gave a damn. I needed money, and that dog, he caught himself. That dog what?" Morrison pressed. The attorney tried to interrupt, but Webb kept talking. "That dog was worth $10,000 to the right buyer. Fighting dogs, they pay premium for trained attack dogs. Especially police dogs. Already knows how to bite, how to hold, how to..." Morrison was out of his chair before Sarah realized he'd moved. 2 other officers grabbed him, holding him back. "You sold him to a fighting ring." Morrison's voice cracked with rage. "You sold my partner to be torn apart for entertainment." Webb's attorney stood. "Interview's over. We're done. Sit down." Morrison roared. "We're not even close to done." Outside the interview room, Sarah found Morrison leaning against the wall, breathing hard. "You okay?" "No." He looked at her with raw eyes. "He sold Rex to dog fighters. That's where he's been for 2 years. That's what the muzzle scars are from keeping him muzzled. So he couldn't fight back while they trained other dogs to attack him." Sarah felt sick. She'd suspected something terrible, but this, can we prove it? "Working on it. If we can find the fighting ring, connect them to Webb, we can add more charges." Morrison's voice shook. "But Sarah, Rex survived. He survived 2 years of hell. Do you understand how strong he had to be? How much he had to want to live?" "I do. I need to see him, now. I need..." Morrison couldn't finish. "He's at the shelter. Let's go." Rex was in a larger kennel now, one with a cushioned bed and windows overlooking the yard. He'd gained 7 pounds. His coat had more shine. The hollowness in his eyes was filling with something else. When Morrison arrived, Rex stood immediately, tail wagging. "Can I go in?" Morrison asked. "Let me check with him first." Sarah approached the kennel slowly. "Hey, Rex, Tom's here. You want to see him?" Rex's whole body wiggled. "Yes. Absolutely yes." Sarah opened the kennel door. Morrison stepped inside. For a moment, they just looked at each other. Man and dog. Partners separated by time and trauma and failure and guilt. Then Rex leaned forward and pressed his head against Morrison's leg. The old signal. The old trust. "I got your back." Morrison dropped to his knees and wrapped his arms around Rex. And the German shepherd who'd survived the unsurvivable, who'd been used and broken and discarded, let himself be held. "I'm sorry," Morrison whispered into Rex's fur. "I'm so sorry, partner. But you're safe now. You're safe. I'm never letting you go again." Sarah turned away, giving them privacy. But she heard Morrison's voice, thick with tears, talking to Rex, telling him about the charges against Webb, about the investigation into the fighting ring, about the future they built together. And she heard something else, a sound she hadn't heard in 4 weeks. Rex, making a soft chuffing sound. Not quite a bark, not quite a whine. The sound of a dog who'd remembered how to hope. Chapter 8. 3 months later, Sarah watched from the observation window as Dr. Patricia Kim worked with Rex in the training yard. The hip surgery had been successful. He'd never run like he did in his prime, but he could walk without pain, move without suffering. "Sit," Dr. Kim commanded. Rex sat, steady, confident. Down. He lowered into a down position, holding Dr. Kim's gaze. Stay. Dr. Kim walked 20 feet away. Rex didn't move. His focus was absolute. Release. Rex bounded toward her, still a little stiff, but eager, and she rewarded him with a tennis ball and enthusiastic praise. He's ready, Dr. Kim said, joining Sarah at the fence. The behavioral rehabilitation is complete. He's stable, responsive, trusting. He'll never be a working canine again, but he can have a full, happy life. Tom will be relieved. Tom's been amazing. Visits every day, worked on commands with him, never missed a therapy session. Dr. Kim smiled. This is what proper canine retirement should look like. Handlers who don't abandon their partners when they become inconvenient. Sarah thought about the grant funding, the community support that had poured in once Rex's story went public, the donations that had covered every expense and then some. We're using the extra funds to create a program, she said, for other retired canines, sanctuary space, medical care, rehoming assistance. We're calling it Rex's Place. Perfect. Who's running it? Me. Sarah smiled. I took a new position. Director of Canine Rescue Services. We're partnering with Metro PD and 3 other departments. No more retired police dogs ending up in shelters or with people like Marcus Webb. What about your old job? Director Chum promoted Jenny. She's young, but she cares. She'd be good at it. Sarah paused. I needed something different. Something that felt like progress instead of just surviving. Dr. Kim nodded. And Rex gave you that. Rex gave me a lot of things. Purpose, hope, a reason to tear up my resignation letter. In the yard, Morrison arrived. Rex spotted him immediately and let out a single sharp bark. Joy. Pure joy. Morrison opened the gate and Rex rushed to him, tail wagging so hard his whole back end moved. Morrison caught him in a hug, laughing. Good boy. There's my good boy. They'd found 5 other dogs from the fighting ring. All of them were in rehabilitation now, thanks to the publicity around Rex's case. Webb was awaiting trial on 17 counts. The fighting ring had been dismantled. One dog's rescue had created a ripple effect. Tom's taking him home today, Sarah said. For good. How's he feel about that? Terrified, excited, ready. Sarah watched them together. He bought a house with a big yard. Retired from the canine unit to focus on training civilian search and rescue. Says he's done with police work, but not done working with dogs. And Rex? Rex has a custom bed, 17 tennis balls, and a freezer full of dog-friendly ice cream. He's going to be spoiled rotten. Good. He earned it. That evening, Sarah helped Morrison load Rex's belongings into his truck. The shepherd sat in the passenger seat, head out the window, tongue lolling. You'll visit, right? Morrison asked. Every week. Rex is our success story. We'll need him for promotional stuff, fundraising events. He'd love that. He always did like being the center of attention. Morrison paused. Sarah, thank you. For fighting for him. For not giving up. Thank you for coming back. For being the handler every canine deserves. They hugged briefly, awkwardly. Then Morrison climbed into the truck. Ready to go home, partner? Rex barked. Ready. Sarah watched them drive away. The shepherd and the man who'd failed him and then moved heaven and earth to make it right. Her phone buzzed. Text from Emma. Did Rex get adopted? Sarah smiled and typed back. He went home. There was a difference. Chapter 9. 6 months later. Sarah stood at the entrance to Rex's place, watching as a transport van pulled up. Inside, 3 retired military dogs, all needing specialized care, all finding sanctuary instead of abandonment. The facility had grown beyond her wildest hopes. 20 kennels, a full medical suite, training yards, and a dedicated staff of 12. All funded by grants, donations, and community support. Proofread this. All inspired by one broken German Shepherd who'd refused to give up. Sarah. Morrison jogged across the parking lot, Rex beside him. The dog moved well now, his gait steady despite the arthritis that would never fully go away. Hey, didn't expect to see you today. We had a session nearby. Morrison grinned. Rex just got certified. Certified for what? Morrison pulled out an official-looking certificate. Therapy dog. We're partnering with the VA hospital. Veterans with PTSD. Rex will do facility visits, comfort work. Turns out a dog who survived trauma is perfect for helping humans who did the same. Sarah felt her eyes sting. Tom, that's amazing. It was Rex's idea. Morrison scratched behind the shepherd's ears. He started naturally gravitating toward people who were struggling. At the park, he'd seek out the quiet ones, the sad ones. Sit with them. Like he knew. He probably did. Rex came over to Sarah and leaned against her leg. The old signal. I got your back. She crouched down, eye level with him. You did good, buddy. You did so good. His tail wagged, and he licked her face. We've got 17 retired K9 South in the program now, Sarah said, standing. And we're fielding calls from departments across the state. Everyone wants to make sure their dogs don't end up like Rex did. But Rex did end up somewhere, Morrison said. He ended up here, helping others, making a difference. He paused. He's exactly what a retired police dog should be. Honored, cared for, still serving, just in a different way. Sarah looked at the facility, at the dogs in the yards. The staff working with them, the second chances happening every day. Sometimes I think about that first morning, she said, when I was ready to quit, when Rex was scheduled to die. What would have happened if I'd just walked away? But you didn't. No, I didn't. She smiled. Turns out we saved each other. That night, Sarah sat on her porch with Emma, watching the sunset. Mom, there's a video about Rex, Emma said, scrolling on her phone. It's going viral. 3 million views. She showed Sarah the screen. Someone had compiled Rex's story, from the shelter intake photos to the trial coverage to recent footage of him doing therapy work. The comments were flooded with support, donations, people sharing their own rescue stories. One comment stood out. This dog represents everything good about second chances. For him and for us. Sarah's phone rang. Director Chung. Turn on channel 7, he said. Now, she grabbed the remote. Channel 7 News, and there was Rex, featured in a segment about animal rescue and rehabilitation. The story of Rex, the anchor said, has sparked a national conversation about our responsibilities to working dogs. Thanks to his case, 3 states have passed laws guaranteeing retired K9 South a pathway to adoption by their handlers or approved rescue organizations. His legacy is changing lives. Emma looked at her mother. You did that. You saved one dog, and it changed everything. I had help, Sarah said. Tom, Dr. Kim, everyone who believed Rex deserved another chance. But you started it. You saw a broken dog and decided he was worth fighting for. Sarah thought about the resignation letter, torn in half and thrown away. About 17 years of heartbreak that led to this moment. About one German Shepherd who taught her that broken doesn't mean worthless. He was worth it, she said. They're all worth it. Chapter 10. 1 year after rescue. The ceremony was held at Metro Police Department headquarters. Media present, community members, department brass. And at the center of it all, Rex. He sat at perfect attention next to Morrison, wearing a new collar. Not his old K9 collar that was retired, framed, hanging in Morrison's living room. This collar was blue, with a patch that read, Therapy Dog Rex's Place. Chief Williams approached the podium. Today we honor not just a dog, but a symbol. Rex represents our commitment to those who serve alongside us. Our promise that service will never be forgotten, and sacrifice will always be recognized. He turned to Morrison and Rex. Sergeant Morrison, will you and Rex approach? They walked to the podium together. Rex's gait was steady, confident. This was his element. Service. Purpose. Chief Williams presented Morrison with a plaque. Then he bent down and placed a medal around Rex's neck, the department's Medal of Valor. Rarely given, never before to a dog. For exceptional service, unwavering courage, and demonstrating the highest ideals of loyalty and resilience. You remind us what it means to truly serve. The room erupted in applause. Rex's tail wagged. Sarah watched from the audience, Emma beside her. Her daughter leaned over. Are you crying, Mom? Happy tears, baby. Happy tears. After the ceremony, there was a reception. Sarah found herself talking to a young officer named Rodriguez. I just got assigned to K9, he said. My shepherd, Kilo, is starting training next week. Congratulations. I read about Rex, about what happened to him. I want you to know that won't happen to Kilo. When he retires, I'll be there. No matter what. Rodriguez's voice was firm. That's the commitment we should all make. That's the commitment we need, Sarah agreed. She watched as Rex worked the room, stopping to greet everyone, soaking up attention. This was a dog who, 1 year ago, couldn't even lift his head. Who'd been hours from death. Who'd given up on humans entirely. Now he was here. Metal around his neck. Purpose in his step. Hope in his eyes. Morrison caught her gaze across the room and nodded. A simple acknowledgement of everything they'd been through together. Everything they'd overcome. Sarah's phone buzzed. Email from the Canine Rescue Foundation. Subject: Expansion request. We've received funding to open 3 more Rex's Place facilities across the state. Can we schedule a planning meeting? 3 more facilities. Dozens more dogs saved. Hundreds of lives changed. All because one person decided that one dog mattered. Sarah typed back. Absolutely. Let's talk Monday. Emma tugged her sleeve. Mom, they want a photo. You and Rex and Mr. Morrison. They gathered together the handler, the rescue officer, and the dog who'd brought them together. Cameras flashed. Rex sat between them, proud and present and whole. Say cheese. The photographer called, but Sarah was already smiling. Really smiling. For the first time and longer than she could remember. Because broken things could be fixed. Because second chances were real. Because one broken dog and one broken woman had found each other in the darkness and decided to fight their way back to the light. Together, Morrison drove Rex home that evening. Metal still around his neck. You did good today, partner, Morrison said. But you know what? Every day with you is good. Rex's tail thumped against the truck seat. They pulled into the driveway. Their house. Their home. The place Rex would never have to leave, never have to fear, never have to doubt. Inside, Morrison removed the metal carefully and placed it on the mantel next to Rex's old K9 badge. Then he filled Rex's bowl with dinner and settled on the couch. Rex ate slowly. He'd never be a fast eater again, his body too accustomed to scarcity. Then joined Morrison on the couch. He laid his head in Morrison's lap. Love you, buddy, Morrison said softly, scratching behind Rex's ears. Rex sighed. Content. Safe. Home. Outside, the sun set on another day. But for Rex, every sunset now was a gift. Every morning was a promise. Every moment was proof that survival was possible, that healing was real, that even the broken could be made whole. Again, the retired police dog everyone called Broken had become something else entirely. A survivor, a hero, a symbol, and most importantly, a dog who was finally truly home.